Ohio faces that $8 billion shortfall that we've heard so much about. Each agency was asked to submit plans to scale back its next budget next year. So as a Chief Justice, I'm just trying to play this out in my head. You're in your office and you get a phone call, I'm guessing, from your colleague, Justice Maureen O'Connor, and she tells you that she has an idea. Let's reduce discretionary spending by 10% by freezing salaries, by delaying the rollout of a digital network linking courts, renegotiating contracts, and changing from printed to electronic documents. How did that phone call go when she called and laid out her plan?
Well, Jim, I think one of the more interesting things is that that phone call never came. To this day, I've not heard from Justice O'Connor about her ideas relative to the budget. I wish that I'd gotten that call. Certainly, the court does have a request from the administration that we, as do all state agencies, is a 35-page booklet providing guidance for how we develop our budget this coming biennium. And it asks us to present a budget by November 1st, and it asks us to present actually two budgets, one that will be flat, meaning the same as last year, the other with 10% reductions. And we've begun a process. I've talked with our administrative director and talked with others on the staff about moving forward to develop a budget, two budget proposals that address the administration's request. We do that in a very collaborative process. We do that with lots of people working on it and study. Our budget includes the budget for many courts around the state, for the courts of appeals around the state. So it's a big process, it's underway, and we're going to be addressing the administration's requests in a very collaborative way.
So let's put it on the table. Justice O'Connor is your opponent in the fall campaign. Do you view that as politics then when she comes out with a plan and calls for a 10% cut just off the top? I mean, how do you view that?
This was purely politics and unfortunate. We do have an orderly process in place to address and build a budget. I do welcome input from all 6 of my colleagues on the court, and I think that her views, just like that of the others, is appropriate. And then when we create that, we speak with one voice, and we present it to the administration with one voice, and that voice is that of the Chief Justice.
Any part of that plan that you like?
I've not received the plan from her yet. I'm not familiar with her plan. In fact, she spoke with no one at the court about the plan, not with any other justice to my knowledge, not with the administrative staff who are responsible for creating that in the first place. This was just my opponent kind of out on her own, and what made it worse is that she not only announced it, which she's entitled to do, she's got free speech rights, but she also presented it to the General Assembly's Budget Committee as something that was that they should consider.
Are you afraid that there might be enough confusion about this that it would appear like this is the voice of the court, that this is actually something that the entire court had a hand in?
I don't think so. I think that I've made it clear in my statement that that's simply not how we operate, and that we will, in due course, in accordance with the state's timetable, be presenting the court's budget.
Would this have rankled you the same way if this proposal had come from Justice Cupp, who's not up for re-election, or Justice Pfeiffer, who's unopposed in his campaign? When she presented it, Maureen O'Connor said something to the effect of, "When I'm Chief Justice." Is it the sort of Chief Justice in waiting kind of mentality that she's taking here that's really bugging you?
James, I'm not bugged. I just can't explain what it is my opponent chose to do. I think that it's purely politics. And using the current budget situation in the state for that purpose doesn't strike me as the right thing to do. I think we need to work together in a collaborative manner, not one person kind of out on their own doing their own thing.
Chief, let me ask you, how difficult has it been, or maybe it hasn't been difficult, to step into Tom Moyer's shoes the last few months? What has that transition been like?
Jim, very, very good question. It's not been easy. This was a very difficult transition. Certainly, Tom Moyer's passing was unfortunate and untimely, and lots of people, including me, miss him a great deal. I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him about the job, I was looking forward to his guidance going forward, and that's simply not to be. But I know that many people at the court, many people that work closely with him, not only had high respect for him, but miss him greatly, and they're big shoes to fill. As I came in to office as Chief Justice, I was very aware of that, and I wanted to provide as much continuity as possible. Most of my personal staff was Chief Justice Moyer's personal staff, providing a great deal of continuity, providing me with experienced, knowledgeable people to assist me to do the job. I've been working and meeting staff throughout the court. I've visited with all of our employees throughout the court personally, and listened to them and talked with them, and conveyed a message of building on the work that Chief Justice Moyer did, because he did really fine work for nearly 24 years as Chief Justice.
But not only did you go in and actually have to sort of take over where he left off, but you went in at a time when the court was getting in its politically charged mode. You know, you have 3 justices that are up for, well, Justice O'Connor is running for this for your job, but you know, there are 3 different justices that are now sitting on the court with you, or yes, 3, I'm counting that right, who are running this fall. Does that politically charged environment make it harder for you as the Chief Justice to come in, get acclimated, and do the court's business?
What I said when I took my oath of office, and I meant, and I continue to stand by, and that is that those matters don't affect our ability to do the job that we're there to do. It doesn't affect the cases that we consider. It doesn't affect our ability to provide justice and to follow the law and to work with one another in a civil, professional manner.
We get all the case announcements every day, and of course, as you know, there's a lag time in when a case is heard and when it's decided. So far, I don't think we've seen any cases in which you've participated on merit. By November, will we start to see some of your jurisprudence in terms of being able to judge you on the opinions that you've authored or joined in? The one big controversial opinion that came out a couple months ago involving speeding and judging, police being able to judge with their eyes, that was written by Justice O'Connor. You didn't participate because you weren't there when the oral argument took place, but by when are we going to start seeing your imprint on the actual jurisprudence coming out of the court?
James, there have been some cases that have already come out, not many, because you're right, there is a lag time. We do need time to study the case and discuss the case with one another, and then to do the actual hard work, the writing and research that comes into creating a quality opinion. But there have been a couple of opinions, dissents that have come out already, including just this past Thursday on a couple of adoption cases that I thought were important. They were 4-3 decisions. And there's some others that will be coming out. I anticipate that we'll be voting on some of them at our August 10th conference. So I've been participating fully on all the cases that have been submitted since May 3rd when I began as Chief Justice.
All right, Chief Justice, I asked your opponent, Justice O'Connor, when she was here a few weeks back, about the politics of this race. So let me ask you kind of a hardball question here. You found yourself in some controversy during this campaign back on May 14th, or you were asking the supporters to attend a May 14th campaign fundraiser. The Ohio Republican Party pointed out that the judicial branch prohibits direct solicitation under Ohio's Judicial Code of Conduct. Let me just ask you matter-of-factly, did you step over the line there as you look back?
The answer is no. I did not, but that matter, as you know, is now in a process because the Republican Party filed a grievance. That matter is going to be considered in its proper process, and that's in the works, and I'm happy to await the outcome of that decision.
It leads to the follow-up of when Chief Justice Moyer was in that chair, when I interviewed him last December. Really, his last crusade, and what we spent a great deal of time talking about, was judicial reform. And he believes strongly in merit selection rather than the direct election of judges. How do you view that? I mean, is there too much money as you call now and try to put your campaign hat on? You are the Chief Justice of the highest court in Ohio. Is it sort of unseemly in a way? Did he have a point there? Would you support a ballot initiative to have the people of Ohio choose whether they want to direct elect their justices? And how would you vote on it?
Well, Jim, I think what's most important to me, and I know what was important to Chief Justice Moyer, is that people have faith and confidence and trust in their courts and in their justice system. That's critically important. The measures that he was advocating is simply one possible solution. I don't know whether that's the right solution or not, but I think those ideas are clearly worthy of debate and worthy of a public decision on those kinds of matters.
So you would support it going to the ballot, at least?
I have no problem if people want to put that on the ballot, none whatsoever. I think it's appropriate for there to be public debate and discussion. What's important to me is that people have faith and trust and confidence in their courts, and I plan to work on those things in a number of ways. I want to make sure that all people that come to court are treated respectfully, are treated with courtesy. All people that come to court need to know that they've been heard, that they've had a fair shot and had their day in court. And I think we can work on those things in a variety of ways. We need to make sure that courts have greater diversity, that people see somebody at the court that they might be able to identify with.
Did that hit you because when you were appointed, Governor Strickland pointed out that you are Jewish, you're the only Democrat on the high court. As you sit up there now and you look both way on the bench, I mean, does that bench represent Ohio?
Well, that we can do a better job, and with my being there to provide some balance, I think we can do a better job of making sure that all views are represented and all views are considered. I'm there because I can challenge the views of my colleagues. I have a background and experiences that differ significantly from those of my colleagues, and I challenge their views. And I think that makes all of us better when we have a mix of ideas and a mix of people at the table.